Hello everyone, this episode starts right where we left off, which is the town that is atop the mountain that we reach after coming from the cemetery. Now, right off the bat, we get a new quest about capturing a Dunsparce, a B-Sharp and a Kragunk, but after checking the Pokédex, it seems that most of them are really far away, so I guess that's a quest that we'll have to wait at least until we get to that part. Right before fighting the gym, I would like to restock on items, so that's exactly what we do at this moment. So after restocking a good portion of healing and revives, we now go straight for the gym, which turns out to be a relic type gym. So far we haven't encountered any Pokemon like that. I think only Retro Roach is the one we have captured, but we really don't know much about it. This is a new type of Pokemon that the game decided to add. So far all I know, based on the things that the main guide tells at the entrance, is that they seem to be weak to grass and psychic types. Luckily for us, we already have Pomelonian in our team, which is actually a great help, as the first two Pokemon, Agu Magu with his Tengu-like mask, as well as Morph Tree, go down pretty easily to our regular grass attacks. This first trainer then explains to us that basically this is a new type that was discovered by the leader of the gym, and then thanks to him and a research team that has been working alone, they have able to revive the relic type Pokemon, and they're now trying to use them for this gym in particular. Once we go into the actual part of the gym, we can see that there's a lot of people that seem to be lost in it, as there's a lot of fog and there seems to be a puzzle, and each time that you actually are not able to go through the puzzle correctly, you go back to the beginning. So the first time I was just trying to get up through it with sheer dumb luck because I didn't realize what was happening, but it turns out that you can only walk through the columns that have the same height. As having said that, we actually encounter our second battle for this gym. So our second battle is actually a double battle this time, and it starts with a couple of Agumagus, which we take easily. But then the Gumana comes in, and I'm pretty sure it's a grass type, as my attacks stop being as effective. I try going for ice and steel type moves, but after that the Agumagu quickly set up their defenses and it starts taking a laughable amount of damage. Luckily for us, we eventually break through and we're able to turn the fight into a 2 versus 1, which gives us a great advantage, but this means also that the Cyclopod ends up being easy prey for Manico and Cofidel the same way their Cintrillion is, but not without taking out our Cofidel in the process. However, this is exactly what we prepare for, and after some quick heals and revives, we are just back on track for the gym. Now we find the first monk that it seems they are the ones in charge of moving around the columns, and once he meditates a little after talking to him, we can see that the height of the columns changes. So this means that also our path has to change, so we decide to proceed. We then fight our second trainer, and it turns out it's a single trainer but with a bunch of ghost types. Somehow we are not able to change our Trialier back of the battle, so we have to let it go down, and after that we are able to finally send Manico in, who clearly has the advantage as he also has great moves against ghost types, so we take out this trainer with no problem. Following the route of the puzzle gym, we actually encounter a Shed Ninja, which I was kinda scared of because it probably has Wonder Guard, but luckily for us, Manico also has a fire type move which learned recently, so the Shed Ninja is super vulnerable against it, and after a couple of hits he also goes down. So far at this point I was still trying with dumb luck to cross through the puzzle, but after failing a couple of times and asking the people around, I got the clue that we need to actually cross through the columns, as I mentioned before, that are the same height. So this time we're able to clear out the puzzle pretty easily, and our final battle before the leader is against the mediums Yuina and Misaki, who start out with Retro Roach and Leafyside. On our side we go with Manico and Tridalier. Unfortunately, Manico was already pretty beat up and doesn't even get the chance to attack, but Tridalier is able to hit a pinpoint on the Retro Roach, and Muda comes in to replace Manico. After some Rock Tombs and Whirlpools, the opposing team is able to take out Tridalier, and in comes Pomelonian. Muda takes out Retro Roach with the Rock Tombs, and Pomelonian starts throwing apples at Leafyside. Then in comes the Frostlass, and we don't really have anything good for it, so we start focusing the other Pokemon in an attempt to finally turn this into a 2 versus 1 again. So we proceed and take down the Leafyside and eventually even the Magnalure as well, but not without losing Muda in the process. Now, even after taking the Pokemon from one of the gym trainers and turning this into the 2 versus 1 we were looking for, Frostlass seems to be still of a trouble as it keeps kicking ass to the rest of our team, and we are left only with Bramboozle and Pomelonian, who are both weak against ice moves, so it could be anyone's match at this point. Therefore we just start spamming our strongest moves. However, it seems we won't be able to make it, so I decide to take the chance and revive Manico, as both her ghost and fire moves should be effective against the ghost ice type of Frostlass. It turns out that is exactly the case, So we clear out this battle and now we're ready for the final one. Sadly, at this point, the gym leaders totally wiped the floor with us. It seems we didn't have a good enough matching for their team, therefore we pretty much lost the gym and are kicked out of it. Having this knowledge at this point, the best we can do right now is to check our PC for new Pokemons and see if we can get a better matchup. Leveling up is not really a problem at this point, as fortunately Pokemon PCs, it gives you this feature where right before a gym you get like double, even like seems like triple the experience, so you can level up Pokemons that are behind pretty easily, and we take advantage of that. So we decide to take out Panyard, One Egg, as well as Da Vinci, and with that's our new team. Before that, we try to explore around, see if we can level up with the grass around, and we find a nice sliding puzzle where we get a rare candy, a new TM, and a PP up. While we were grinding in the grass close by, we were actually able to capture a Snorlax. Now this is where the real battle begins. After some long grinding, we're finally level up and our team is ready to take this challenge. Once more, my strategy is to try and turn the battle into a 2 vs 1 as fast as possible, so we start focusing our efforts on the morph tree. However, after a couple of turns, we are not making much progress. I decide to swap them out for Brambuzzle and Muda to hit the opponents with Needle, Marms and Magical Leaves as much as possible. They start spamming confusion moves in order to slow us down, but they're gonna need more than that. We take out their first Pokemon and now in comes Magnador, who we already know is pretty weak to grass moves, so we take advantage of it and defeat it pretty easily. Then comes the Master Hand crossover Armagaton, takes out Muda with a diffuse wave. At this point I got scared because he looked like a steel type to me, but with a couple of Needle Arms as well as some Waver Waves from One Egg, we finally leave him in the red, but sadly we lost both One Egg and Brambuzzle in the process. To replace them, there come Vinci and Ponyard, and we start using revives and heals on our defeated Pokemon. Ponyard takes the fall, but is able to bring back the whole team with the revives, and right as Armagato goes down, allowing us to finally turn the fight into the 2 vs 1 we were looking for. We then simply start trading blows and take out Buzzard, but lose Vinci to the Misdreavus. Then we take her out and it comes the final boss of this gym, Kowako. And when I say the final boss of this gym, trust me, I really mean it. Her attack Spirit Away turns the Pokemon it hits into a ghost type, making them easy prey for all of their other ghost attacks and dark moves. Just like Muda for example, who goes down to a near spell after being turned into a ghost type. Luckily for us, she doesn't focus or Manico, which is the only one with effective moves, and at this point with a final Bitter Malice we complete the gym. As a reward for completing the gym, we are given a Diletant mode that reduces the damage taken for relic type Pokemons, as well as the Your Badge and of course a TM for this gym. But most importantly, we're now able to use the cut move. So we are able to go back and visit and explore the place we left behind that we were not able to access before. Along the way, we come back to the big tree house, where we find out that the Enigmas actually planned the Enigma that we had in our team as a trap so they could find where the eggs for the other Pokemons were being laid. We try to chase him and scare him off so he doesn't take the eggs away, but it seems that for a reason the game seemed to glitch out, and instead of having one, I have 2 Enigmas in my screen, although one of them is not real. After a while, we finally are able to corner the real one, who escapes after being scared of us and drop at the actual egg of a Pokemon. Having resolved that, it's time for us to go our way into the next city. Now, there's an interesting mechanic in this game. As you go through big trees that work as portals to different areas, you have to go through a bunch of these. They have full of items, they are full of trainers, Pokemons. By doing so, we finally reach our next patch of grass, where we can capture a Happy. While we were trying to reach the next town, or at least the next Pokemon Center, we fight some twins down the road who have Miku-like Pokemon, Koresato and Koremai. We reach then the Midway Pokemon Center and some really tall grass afterwards. We capture a Pitagon, which I really like because it reminds me of Dragon Fruit, so I'm gonna bet this is a Dragon type Pokemon as well. Now, while we make our way through the forest, we get to see a bunch of trainers and some cool final evolutions, like this Trauman right here, who gives us a lot of trouble and pretty much wipes the floor with us multiple times. I didn't add it to the video for obvious reasons, but trust me when I say he was no easy foe. I decide to take a break and check the rest of the forest, some place we haven't explored yet, where we get to capture a Croagunk. But most importantly, and I find this super interesting, is that the game seems to have some overworld bosses like Pokemon. For example, this Shiftry right here, he is not only like super high level, but also all of his stats raise once the battle starts, so it's like he's +2 on everything. However, we are able to take it out and we have to actually get his prize, which is an actual Tengu mask that resembles his face and is an exclusive item for his evolutionary line, which I find is pretty cool for this game. Eventually, our egg also hatches and we get a Chica from from it. We keep exploring the forest, we capture a Kirovera, which is the evolution from our Umbrat, and after exploring that side of the forest, we come back and try to fight the Strawman who is blocking our path to the next town. This was no easy fight, but eventually we managed to clear it out, and with the experience from this fight, we actually evolved our Maniko into Kowaku, so we are now with a powerhouse of our own. Along the way, we also find the final Garfield evolution, who now looks exactly like the sprite on his trainer. He is no big deal, but I still think it was important to point out that he looks like a really funny guy. We also find another trainer with a final evolution, Komodoro, which is like the final evolution of the rat Pokemon we found at the beginning. He stops me saying he has a package for me, he's like a delivery guy, but for some reason at the end of the battle he still doesn't give me anything, so I guess beating him up didn't make him really happy, so he decides to keep my package for himself. Then also something I forgot to mention is that you can use cod in these big bushes around the forest, and they usually have like an item or something small inside of them, but one of them in particular actually has another of these final bosses. This one is a Cultipex. This is a Pokemon that seems, for what we could gather, to raid the cave that is full of bugs and all the bugs within it. It takes half of our team to actually defeat him, as he takes her out easily with sludge bombs, but there's nothing Narcowaco cannot take. As I was saying before, this is just now a powerhouse of a Pokemon. He then gave us his exclusive item for his evolutionary line, which is like a crown for a prince, because he is the king and he's looking for a prince and a worthy successor to probably reign over his cave full of bug type Pokemons, so we take it with us because why not. We then continue our journey, and once more, right before reaching the town, we find once again the office worker guy who is still running.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
At a fast pace, trying to escape from us or reach his job. He doesn't pose much of a threat still. I'm gonna bet he's gonna become eventually like some sort of super final boss, super hard, but so far he only has 3 cut-offs which we can take pretty easily with our fire moves. We then finally make it to Fort Tree City, where we speak with someone on the first house we encounter who gives us a TM, but most importantly we are finally in the Pokemon Center where we can heal our Pokemon. That would be it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, remember to like and subscribe, it really helps out a lot. And I'll be seeing you on the next one. Goodbye!